Hi. Welcome to session 5 of our ongoing workshop. Now, we've done well so far. We've covered the five pillars already. We've also talked about the BES marketing phases, which I'm going to rename to the BES marketing framework in a future version of this workshop. I hope you've gotten value so far. I hope you've had some really good aha moments. You've had some epiphany. You've seen some places where maybe you need to work on, or you need to seek deeper knowledge, and all the stuff. So we are going to start with pillar 6 today. It's and that's traffic. Now, if you are not really new to the world of marketing, you may already know what traffic is. But then, if you don't, that's fine, because we will talk about what exactly traffic is. So let's get started. All right, so traffic is essentially the flow of people to any online destination of interest. So whether it's a website, whether it's your Instagram page, whether it's your, you know, any online destination. But usually when we talk about traffic, we often talk about websites, because what we use the other channels for, we basically use them as traffic generation channels. So whether it's YouTube, whether it's your Instagram page, your Facebook profile, your WhatsApp status, all those are traffic. Any place where you put something that people can consume in order to go elsewhere. So that's usually a source of traffic. So yeah, let's just keep it simple that way. We usually talk about traffic when we talk about website, but in some sense, it could actually mean traffic to any content, anything that you have put up somewhere that you want people to pay some attention to. So that's that. All right. So now every business must have a process that generates a steady stream of sufficient, relevant traffic in order to thrive. Now, it's not enough that you have good products, you have amazing offers, you have great content or amazing copy. It doesn't matter if you did all your niche and market research very well and you have the perfect description of your customer. If you cannot, if you cannot get the enough of the right people to see your offers, it's a waste of time. So this is one of the places where a lot of businesses usually have issues. So they've gotten every other thing right, but they don't have enough people. And if your traffic is low, it means that the numbers are going to work against you. The numbers are going to work against you, because not everybody who visits your website, not everybody who visits any particular offer or content of interest is going to be interested. So if you do not have a steady, predictable way of generating sufficient relevant traffic, these are two very powerful keywords right there. Your business is going to suffer for it. You'll be making low sales, and you'll be wondering whether it's your offer that something is wrong with, whether the products are not, and all that. It could just be a traffic problem. So you have to have a way, whichever way you're going to do that, whether you're going to use organic traffic or whether you're going to use automated traffic or control traffic, which is paid advertising and all that. You have to have a way of generating a steady stream of traffic. And now there are two classes of traffic involved, and we'll subdivide them further into four. Now, the two major classes, you have free, which we also call organic traffic, which is done by purely human effort. This one, you're putting in your sweat and maybe a little bit of your skills to generate this organically. So you're not paying money, and it's not always fast. Sometimes you could get it in loads, but you don't really have full control. You don't really have full control over what amount of traffic you could get from organic. So sometimes you do it to produce, big results. Sometimes you do it to produce small. Sometimes you do it to produce abysmal results. So you need to know that. So it's done by purely human effort, and we further subdivide it into earned traffic. Now I need to give credit to whom I learned this from. It's from Russell Brunson. You saw when I was bringing up traffic secrets the other time. That was where I learned this concept from. I think I added one to that I learned from somewhere else, but that was the major source of this knowledge. Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. In that book, it talks about, some amazing, powerful never changing eternal concept of generating traffic beyond just we're talking about Facebook ads, talking about this, that, and all that. So I might leave a link to it, maybe in a resource that I probably might put together. I don't know. I might not, depending on how I feel about it. So, but further subdivided into earned traffic. Um, so referrals and recommendation, you've earned it based on the fact that you've done really good work over time. Now we have owned traffic. Owned traffic is basically traffic that you own. It's yours. So it's your business list essentially, and the most popular version of that is your email list. But it could also be a phone. It could be a WhatsApp phone database, essentially, if there's a way to export the phone number. And I think, yeah, we used to do that back in the past when we are using Business Sender. That's a software that allows us to send WhatsApp messages without having to use the broadcast mode, because for broadcast, people may not get, if they don't have your number saved, maybe they lost your number for any reason and you send them a broadcast, they won't get it. But using Business Sender, that back then, I don't really use it much these days anymore because I don't really have much need for it. But for those who may need that, or who that kind of feature will be useful to, you might want to reach out to me about it. So, but it could be your email list, could also be your WhatsApp phone database if you have a way of putting that together. So that's that. Now, rented traffic. So rented traffic is your social media audience, WhatsApp status viewers. You don't own them. You can't hold it in your hands. It's there by virtue of the fact that you are on that platform and that you are active, and that some people have given you their attention and they follow you. So you don't own it. It's rented, which means it can be taken away from you at any time. Your account can be shut down by Instagram or by WhatsApp or by YouTube if you violate the rules, and you lose all that immediately. So that's that. Now, if you're using social media traffic, you should know what the standard organic reach is. Now, this is important because the organic reach basically affects how many people are going to see whatever it is that you put up. Now, having amazing content, like I just said, having amazing content, having beautiful offers, having powerful communication without enough traffic is just going to spoil everything. It will not justify all the efforts that you have put in. If you need 10,000 people, for example, to see your post for a certain amount of that to then show interest, and then a certain percentage of that to convert, if you're not meeting that number, then you're going to have issues. So the standard organic reach, for example, on the Facebook business page, the standard organic reach is anywhere from 0.6% to maximum of 5%. And Facebook keeps reducing the organic reach because they want you to pay for them to give you exposure to the people that you want to reach. Now, so that means if the maximum is 5%, then you need to start asking yourself, how many page followers do you have to have? What is 5% of that? And bear in mind that not even then, you will not always be getting 5% exposure every time, unless you're creating viral content that is so powerful that it just has to be shared, which doesn't come across often. So if that is 5%, then you need to start asking yourself, out of how many people are going to see your post, and how many people are going to be interested in whatever it is you're talking about in the post, and how many people are eventually going to have enough interest for them to eventually want to take action, whatever the action is. You need to have these things. So it's very, very good to know your statistics. It's very important, and not just for social media traffic alone, even for email. You need to know what the conversion rates are. You know what the standard open rates are, so that you can factor those numbers into, because whatever it is that you cannot measure, you cannot evaluate, you cannot improve. So that's very, very important. Just to say that in passing, please, that is a very, very important lesson. Do not forget, even though I didn't write the details about it, sometimes some of these things just come off my head and I have to say it. All right, so then paid traffic. Now, of course, this is a self-explanatory. You're spending money to get traffic. So it's further subdivided into, and it's just one category really, controlled traffic. Now, this is traffic that you control. You can turn it on like a tap, you can turn it off. Why? Because you're paying. So, for example, if you're running Facebook ads, YouTube ads, for example, you can just basically say, okay, I want to run ads today. You put money in there, you turn on the ad. If you get tired or something is not working well, or you just feel you've gotten enough results, you can turn it off. So it's traffic that you control. So you have paid ads, you have solo ads. Solo ads, remember I said, is the ads where you pay somebody to to post about your offer to their email list, and then they give you traffic from there. So you can also, after that is done, you can basically say, okay, I'm not doing again. Influencer ads, the same thing. You can pay today and say you're not paying tomorrow. So you control it. I already gave credit to Russell Brunson's traffic secret, so that's that. Now you need to know the paid traffic is faster, free traffic is good, both traffic is best. This is a very, very important line you must not forget. Paid traffic is faster, free traffic is good, or we could even switch it and say free traffic is good, paid traffic is faster, both traffic is best. You do not want a situation where you are only invested in one type of traffic. It's like having all your eggs in one basket. It's dangerous. Even if you start out with one, you must always have the other one ready to go at any time, so you don't become hamstrung by any shenanigans. So, for example, if Facebook uh, disables your account, for example, what other traffic source would you have? Would it be Google Ads? Would it be, do you have an email list that you've built already that you can leverage on at that time? Are there influencers that you can maybe pay to, that's relevant influencer, not just any influencer, that you can pay to get your stuff going? These are important things. So you need to have more than one source of traffic. It's very, very, very important, especially these days now that Facebook keeps disabling at any slight irritation, with some with no, with even no reason whatsoever. With no reason whatsoever, they just disable the account. So this is very, very, it's very, very important. Now it's important for you to understand. Okay, I already mentioned this already. In fact, I went ahead of myself to already say this, but I'm just repeat it again. It's important that you understand the industry standard marketing statistics, so you can gauge how many people you need to see your content or offers for you to be able to capture enough people to hit your goals. You must know your numbers. You must know your numbers. You must know your numbers. This is very, very important. You see, so there's really not much about this. These are the most essential information about traffic that you need to know. I don't think there's any other thing that I was supposed to say. I think we're already moving to the to the seventh pillar already. So, but please take the information that we've shared in this particular part very, very seriously. Your numbers matter. They can make or break your sales. All right. So that's that. Now, follow up and retargeting. Follow up and retargeting. Um, so, this particular pillar is where people often throw in the ball or throw the ball away, whichever. I can't remember the exact idiom that is supposed to apply to this. Now, this is very, very important because at the end of the day, when you've done everything that you are supposed to do, not everyone is going to buy your offer or take your offer at the first count, especially when it involves money. When it involves a significant amount of money, let me put that, because I don't see any reason why I should be retargeting somebody for a 500 naira product until Jesus comes. So, but if you're selling something like 25,000, 30, 50, 100, some people need time. They need to remember the gaps we talked about. The higher the price, the more gaps in their head. Don't forget that they need to fill in order for them to eventually take the decision to that your product is the best way out for them out of the problem, or to fulfill the desire that they have. So if you do not follow up on people, whether online or offline, you're gonna have issues. And this is because you need to understand the importance of retargeting and follow up, because now, mind you, you could actually call them the same thing. So it could be follow up slash retargeting. Retargeting is an example of follow up. They're essentially the same thing in this case, of course, because we're talking about things online. Whichever way you do it, now follow up. Very important. So, the thing is, you see, apart from the fact that we're living in a world of people that are hyper skeptical and all that, we're also living in a world that is heavily distracted. Heavily distracted. If your marketing effort does not factor in this one cogent fact, it may be the straw that breaks the camel back. You do every other thing correctly, but when you get to this part, then there's going to be issues. Now, somebody sees your offer, likes it, maybe doesn't have money at that time, needs some time to make a decision about it or to hustle money, and then you don't retarget them, you don't follow up on them, you lose that sale. Another instance is a situation where somebody gets to your website, clicks add to cart, which means they want to buy. Then their children suddenly scream in the room, and then they abandon what they are doing to quickly go and do that. And before you know, the website has dropped off. And you don't retarget them, you've lost the sale. People are so busy, even though we could say that in many cases they are busy not doing things that are of benefit to them, but there are also a lot of people who are busy with a lot of things. So if you're even if what you're selling is not something that they will die if they don't buy, then you must have a way of retargeting them in order for them to eventually take up your offer. So you must follow up. Now you need to uh, have this at the back of your mind. It's very, very important. So essentially, we could define follow up as the process of keeping your sales message in different variation. In different variation, I added in different variation because sometimes people develop what we call ad fatigue, where they've seen the same thing over and over again and it just doesn't make an impression on them any longer. It's not tiring to the eye. If it gets too much, then they will even start hiding your ads. So ad fatigue could happen. That's why you need to freshen up your message from time to time. That's why we use different things. We come from different angles. We write different content, different follow-up content. Your sales page copy may remain the same because you keep bringing them back there, but your ads, your maybe email sequence, maybe your social media posts, whichever way you're doing the follow up, or you keep talking about exactly the same thing. You must come in from different angles, different variations, and all that stuff, different situations, different stories, different. Things have to be fresh. Things have to be fresh. Think of some of the most effective campaigns you've seen that eventually got you to buy. Was it exactly the same thing they were telling you all over for a long time? No. They kept bringing in different things and all that to keep the message in your mind. Remember that as marketers, I've said this before, we are engineers. We are engineers of human persuasion systems. So every part of your machinery must be complete and firing well. It's not easy, it's a lot of work, but the results are always worth it, and that's why we do it. It could take you an entire month to build out an entire marketing campaign, but when you eventually are done and you run it and it works out well and you make millions of naira overnight, then people hear the result and they be like, wow, this person sold millions of naira overnight, but or millions of dollars, the case may be, but they weren't there when you were going through that stress. So this is very important for you to um, understand. Okay, so let's go on. Now, the rule of seven says that people often have to see your message minimum of 7 to 12 times before they make a decision about it. So the question you need to ask yourself: does your follow-up system factor in this rule? Do you have a follow-up system that shows your message in different variations to at least up to 7 times before you say, okay, it's not worth targeting these people any longer? Sometimes it could even be longer than 7. It could be 12, could be 14. That's why when people write email follow-up sequences, for example, they usually write about 2 weeks. Some write 7, depending on what you're selling. Some an entire month. Some 6 freaking months of follow-up content. There's one particular person on that I'm on his email list right now. I've been receiving emails about exactly the same thing for the past 3 months. Yes. The funny thing is, even in his own case, I have even bought into the program, but I still keep receiving the emails. Now, I'm not really tired of the emails because I kind of like the freshness, and maybe because I'm a marketer, I also like to see what people are doing and all that stuff and everything. I like it, so I don't really complain. I like the way they always come in. There's always one story. There's always something, one angle he can come from to really keep things fresh. So even if you don't, even if you've bought, but the fact that you're reading something that really see, it's just beautiful. So your marketing campaign must take this rule into consideration. At least a minimum of 7 follow-up content on what you're selling. Minimum of 7, which is a week. Now, so follow up or retargeting can be done manually. So if you're using WhatsApp broadcast, maybe one-on-one, maybe if you are, for example, in MLM, you may be doing a lot of one-on-ones, or if you're doing maybe high-ticket sales, where if you sell one product like this, of course, there's a part you can automate, but then there's a part that you have to physically, or sorry, manually check on the person to see what's going on. Now, it could also be done via automated means, which is email sequences, paid advertising, retargeting, and all that. So, in paid advertising, in retargeting via paid advertising, you are basically retargeting those who have shown interest in your offer by visiting. Oh, I didn't put this. Sorry. It was supposed to be where you retarget those who showed interest by visiting specific pages on your website. So, say you ran a Facebook ad, for example, and then Some people clicked on the link and then they got certain pages, but they didn't take up the offer at that point. You can retarget those people by using a custom audience. So you're basically in your Facebook ad, you have set that, okay, people who visit this particular page, this is what I will show to them next if they don't buy. Or if they get to this page but they didn't get to the next page, then you know that, okay, they didn't buy, because if they bought, they would have gotten to the next page that is linked to that particular page in your funnel. So if they didn't, then you know they didn't buy. You can retarget them with another message. So that's very very that's an interesting thing to note. Now, we've just come to the end of the 7 pillars. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You can start even talking in very, very relaxed tone today, because now it's coming to an end gradually, and I feel nostalgic about how far we've come. All right, but so now all the 7 pillars are important, mind you, all of them are important. However, there are some that have a deeper level of damage than the others if not done properly. So it doesn't mean that, oh, you can miss out one pillar and still do very well. No, you're not going to do very well. But you can do worse if you miss out certain pillars. Okay, so take for example, follow up and retargeting, for example. You may make sales, but you may not make up to enough sales than you should have if you had retargeted or followed up on people. So it means you only milked the potential of people who saw your offer and bought it immediately. So those who didn't buy, you've left them out. So you could make sale if pillar 7, which is follow up and retargeting, is missing. You make sales, but you won't make as much as you should have. Now, can you make sales without enough traffic? Yes, but it will be very minimal. Can you make sales without no traffic at all? Are you joking? No, that's not even possible. Now, these are the 4 most critical pillars that all the others rest on. Now, you must have done your niche and market research very well, because that's where you're going to gather market data to validate the problem that you're trying to solve. Is it a painful problem? Is it painful enough? You don't want to solve problems that are nice to solve, especially when you're just starting out. You want to solve problems that people are burning to solve, or desire that they are burning to fulfill. So is it a painful problem to solve? Are there enough people in this market who have this particular problem? You want to validate the strength and the size of the problem. That's what we do under niche and market research. And you want to find out what people are saying about it and another. Then you want to now zero in and then identify your ideal customer profile, ideal customer or ideal person within that larger market, so that you can then create a well tailor made communication for them. Now, if you don't do the market research, you don't profile your ideal customer, then it means you're going to be shooting blanks. Your market message may hit, it may not hit, yeah, and it may totally just bomb and be a waste of time. So, not doing niche and market research and ideal customer profile is like carrying a gun and just shooting with no target. You won't hit anything. If you hit, it's by chance. Now, and then after that, offer creation. So you could have the proper research, ideal customer, you have an effective communication, your content is awesome, your sales message is persuasive, but your offer is terrible. You won't sell. You may sell, but not much, because your offer is what do I call it? Is resistible. If whatever it is you're offering is resistible, you will not sell. Resistible may be that, okay, they have a reason to postpone, or they feel like the price to value ratio is not really compelling enough, or one thing. Oftentimes, if an offer is not if an offer is resistible, it's because the price to value ratio is very very low, or should I say price to perceived value ratio, because when we're creating offers, what we're working on essentially is the perceived value of what we're given. So if these 4 don't work well, even if you get your traffic right, even if you get your follow up right, even if your funnels are as beautiful as Miss World, your entire campaign is going to massively suffer. So please take these 4 pillars into, don't joke with them. Don't joke with them. Like I said, I've written rather, some pillars are easier to fix than the others. They have less consequences. Traffic, you could still get by if you have not very high traffic. You just won't sell enough. It won't justify. Follow up, you still make some sales. Funnels, If your funnels are ugly, you can still sell a shit ton of products. Yes, because it's not always about fine funnels. Now, having beautiful funnels does help in certain kind of offers, but maybe like you're selling beauty product or maybe something. But in some places, it has absolutely nothing to do. What you just need is, are your funnels functional enough? Do they present the most important information in the most effective way? And you're good to go. So that's that. So that brings us to the end of the 7 pillars of effective sales systems workshop. Now, in the next session, we're basically just now going to be working on Q&As and all that. But I do have some concluding thoughts that I'm supposed to give to you also, because I just think that they are important for you to have. Uh, in addition to everything we've said so far. So number one, this is more like a pattern. I don't know what I would call it. Maybe a pattern. I'll call it a pattern charge, because I could tell you all those things that I've just told you right now. But if these ones are missing, it's more like I have not given you the fast track hacks for which you can then build or deeper knowledge or better skills on. So number one, it's very easy to get carried away by cutting by knowledge of cutting edge marketing. So all these ideas, you could be mind blown by them. You feel like, man, this is awesome. This is, oh man, I learned a lot and all that. But that's just a piece of the puzzle. You can read some of the best and the best books on marketing and direct response marketing and copywriting and traffic generation. You can do so. You can take some of the best courses, but there will always be a gap in your knowledge if you do not practice them on the field of play. This is very important. So it doesn't matter how much you know. If you cannot, okay, now I've shared with you some of the elements of building an irresistible offer. If you don't go ahead and go and apply that in a real life situation, there will be gaps in your knowledge. So it's not just about coming to come and impress people with how well you know. Can you use this in a practical real life situation where the real work is at? So it is when it comes to adapting what you've learned, whether from this workshop or from any other thing, to a real life situation. That is where the real work is. That is where the real work is. I say that again for emphasis. Please, it's very important. Now, highly impactful marketing is a perfect mix of, don't forget this, deep scientific understanding of the unchanging principles of human nature. There are certain things. That's why if you're going to be an effective marketer, you're one of the things you're going to have to learn. You're going to have a deep understanding of human behavior, buyer psychology. So it's a perfect mix of being a scientist who understands human psychology when it comes to buying, and also artistic creativity. I feel like it's important for me to tell you this because this is where I got the concept of marketers being engineers from. An engineer knows the scientific aspects, the mathematics, the perfect measurements, the perfect dimensions, and also knows, take an architect for example. An architect knows the numbers and also he knows the art of it. So if you want to really become an effective marketer, you must become an engineer at heart. You must become an engineer of, you must realize rather that you are an engineer of human persuasion systems. You got to start thinking like an engineer. It is important. This is like one of the most powerful tips I could give you off this class. You are an engineer of human persuasion systems, and there's a certain way engineers think. So you are basically engineering people to take certain actions, certain decisions. This is important for you to understand. I can't emphasize how important this is. You are an engineer of human persuasion systems. So learn to think like an engineer. When you're putting together the ads, think like an engineer. When you're putting together the content, the communication pieces, think like an engineer, because you're moving people to, you're bringing all 7 pillars together. You're building it into a marketing campaign. You're moving people from one level to the other, 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 aim for them to eventually take action. When you're putting together the funnels, you're arranging a string of pages together. They're supposed to do different things to get people to where they're going. So please learn to think like an engineer. If something is not working well, you're looking at the scientific aspect of it and also at the creative side of it. So the fact that you have very, very good understanding of human behavior does not mean that you do not need creativity. When you're putting together content, for example, your content cannot be boring, even if it contains powerful information that will help your audience. You cannot bore anybody into buying anything. This is key. You don't bore people to buy. So your creativity, you're going to need to unleash the creative side of you. Don't worry, we're not saying that you have to become Beethoven or Pablo Picasso, but you need to start learning how to apply your creativity in how would I call it right now? In putting together a marketing campaign. This is very, very key. Now, of course, and you're going to develop your creativity through practice, through applying the knowledge that you are gaining in real life situations. This is very, very important. Now, the only thing I want to tell you is that when you are applying creativity to marketing, you do not, please make sure that your creativity is not reinventing the wheel of principles that don't change. So sometimes you can be creative, but you are trying to be a genius when you should be a good copier. Really. You don't want to be a broke genius when you can be a rich duplicator. This is very, very important. So only be creative, apply your creativity in harmony with the unchanging principles of human behavior, of persuasion, and all that. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Then, also, I need to tell you that engineering a successful marketing campaign is brutal work. It is brutal work. The only reason we do these things, so when you hear that, oh, somebody made 30 million, she's selling shoes, you had the website, you should ask yourself, how long had they been putting together that campaign? It could have taken a month. Build the website, structure the ads that are going to structure the retargeting and the follow-up campaigns, the email list, how they were going to reach out to people, who's going to be calling people who are trying to buy, all those things. It took time to put all that together. So if you want to become an effective marketer without having this at the back of your mind that look, we're not here to, this is not yo-yo, this is not this is not this is not Disney. This is not Disney at all. Have it at the back of your mind that when you're putting together a campaign that you really want to succeed, you are in for war. This is very important. So the only reason why these things are worth is because of the huge financial rewards that come from them. So when you hear all this, Tony Omotosho made X millions of naira, Aken Labi made X millions of naira, there is deep work. Oftentimes people don't show the work side of things. Most people don't. But for those who do, you should be grateful to them because they are the ones that help you balance your views. So it's not something like you come in and then you have no foundations at all, you don't even know what you're doing, and then you're expecting that you're going to start building high converting campaigns in 2 weeks. It's not magic. I've never seen it work, and I will never tell anybody that it works that way. So that's that. Then also, if your business is still young, which means that funds are limited, be prepared to do much of your marketing work by yourself. If you don't really have funds, and oftentimes when you're just starting out, it's not really advisable to spend at every impulse. Something that you would have probably sorted out with some level of creativity, you're paying for it. It's not good. So be prepared to do much of your work. So you are going to have to develop yourself in many areas of this thing. But then if one certain area is over your head, like you cannot really you can't really do it very well. For example, I'm not good with design, so why would I want to really stress myself over uh, coming together with awesome Canva when I can just pay somebody to give me Canva template or just do the design aspect of the work and let me concentrate on maybe the ads aspect and maybe the communication pieces and all that. Why would I want to keep myself over design? It's not my area of strength. So that, in addition to what I've said here, is very, 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 very important because sometimes people want to pay. They feel like, oh no, let me just outsource this to someone. Then you realize that the amount they are charging is not something that you can feel. Then you now start looking for somebody who's going to do it cheaper for you. And if they are going to do it cheaper, they are going to do trash for you, and you don't want that. So that's very, very important. Please, you don't want that. Is there any other thing I'm supposed to say with you here? Okay. Wow, there's still quite a number. So number one, give yourself. I said number one. Sorry. Give yourself time to learn and master through repetitive application. You're not going to become an expert in all these 7 areas in 1 month. I almost already said that in passing. This is very, very important. There are all these. I don't know. I've seen so many online. I'm just like, unless an expert is doing most of the work for you, which means they are, unless you are getting involved in a done with you program, unless you're getting involved with a done with you program, you are not going to become an effective person in all 7 areas in 1 month. And at the end of the day, you get to a point where you have to become to really focus on some areas of the pillars and outsource some parts as your business grows. I do not expect you that when you're by the time you're doing a 1 million naira per month, or maybe 5 million naira in revenue, that you're still the one who is doing everything by yourself. You're the customer service agent, you're the delivery guy. No, 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 no. You can't do that. So that's that. Then also, this links to what I said before about marketing being a brutal work. Embrace frustration on your way to becoming a more effective, profitable marketer. This is going to happen a lot. You are going to make 1,000,001 mistakes. You will get a trailer load of frustration. Just remember that frustration is a sign that there is something you don't yet know or have not applied. I have been in situations where I worked my butt off and stuff didn't work out. Was it because I didn't work hard? No, but because my hard work was not balanced with knowledge. So I worked hard, I really put in effort, but I was moving in the wrong direction. So frustration is a sign that there is something you don't yet know or have not applied, even though you have worked hard. I feel like I should write this down somewhere actually. This is a very important. You will get frustrated. If I don't tell you now, I'm not doing you good. The only way you're not really going to explain frustration is if you are a genius. Like you learn everything so fast, you will happen to be among the best of the right people at the right time, and you could leverage on other people and really move fast. If you're lucky to be in that situation, but if this happens, don't feel like the world is against you. Now, also, I should say this: never completely outsource your marketing. This is something people want to do. Listen, there is nobody who knows your business like you do. No one. So when they are putting together the communication piece or the content and all that stuff, a business that they are not emotional, they don't know the nitty gritty, the in total. There are certain things that outsourcing some part of your marketing cannot get you, unless they are going to sit down with you for a whole lot of time, and unless they are in the same market that you are in. If the person who is putting together your copyrights, your copies for example, and all that is not in your market, there are just certain things that they would not know, and they will have to ask you, they will have to do a lot of back and forth with you and all that. You should be your brand's number one salesman. This is very important. This is very important. Never completely outsource your marketing in some part of the process, because no one knows your business like you do. And your marketing is the number one income producing part of your business. Some people tend to see marketing as an expense when they should see it as an investment. If you're doing profitable marketing, it's an investment in your business. That's not one place where you want to cut down on your budget. Cut your budget down anywhere, but not in your marketing, because that's basically you moving backwards. That's what it means. So I think that brings us to the end of all the pep talk, and then in the next session we'll just have our Q&A section. So I hope that this is a fitting way to conclude this workshop. I know some people may have questions. If the question for some reason is not answered in the Q&A, then 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 you can send it to me directly via whatever channel I'm going to provide rather, for you to be able to reach me. So thank you very much for staying with me to the end of this workshop. I really appreciate your time. See you in the Q&A session or any other channel via which we communicate. Bye.